I work at Counselor Chapter. Prior to this, I was the chapter president for 3 terms. I guess one of the things is that I would like to thank each and every one of you for supporting us. 2006, we went into litigation with BLM for their failure to consult with tribal communities. I wish we had this kind of support then. Part of it was Donna House's fault. She's the one that got me involved in work, in this kind of work. So it was her persistence and her help and their care that we were able to go to litigation with BLM. But during the day of the court, there was only 3 of us. Myself, my 84-year-old uncle, and a nephew. On the other side of the room was BLM, all the way from Washington to here. Well, unfortunately, we lost that case, but we were able to work with BLM on some issues. On some of those issues that we continue to work with, some of those have fallen to the wayside. And we're also constantly reminding them that this is the agreement that they agreed to, and we need to uphold it. So, Chaco, as we talk about it, you'll hear all kinds of stories from the Navajos. Navajos says we don't have ties to it. All belongs to the Hopi. That's not true. That is not true. If you know your traditional oral stories as Navajos, Chaco is deeply rooted to some of our ceremonial songs, our prayers, and then there's an arrowhead that is buried, to my understanding, still there within around Chaco area. I was buried there and put there in place by the holy people, and it's still there. I know various people have asked, where is it exactly at? No one's going to say. And we like to keep it that way. That's why we, as Navajos, are doing as much as we can to have our say and not let the government destroy Chaco. When I was growing up, there's a lot of BLM land to the south of Counselor Chapter House, a lot of open plains. When I was growing up, we used to have a lot of herd of antelopes out there in the open. Well, one day when we were coming back from the trading post, we saw these 2 giant bulldozers, earth movers, and there was a huge chain that they were dragging. I guess it was their way of eradicating sagebrush. They destroyed a lot of Navajo traditional animal gathering pens, which were very sacred. They never explained back to the community why they did it or how they're going to restore it. To this day, I continue to remind them, you destroyed that back when I was growing up, and today you have said nothing about it. So they have continued to fail us in so many ways around Counselor area. As you're going up, back up to Counselors, where it used to be the old Lovato's bar, right across it, there's a sign that says water recycling. That barrel there, we were never consulted that they were going to put that open barrel right there. And they continue to say that it is not being used. It is being used. Fracking wastewater is dumped in there. The odor is unbearable if you drive by it or if you happen to go by it. It just so happened at one time that Congressman Ben Ray Lujan was driving by and he noticed it. So when we talked to him about it, he says, I know exactly what you're talking about. So to this day, BLM from here in Farmington was supposed to have met with us, and they have not met with us. Hopefully we'll be able to meet with them to get something resolved in there. So to our understanding, that open pit was built for a lot of under the table deals that we know very well Farmington is very famous for. And there are certain families that hold, all they have to do is extend their hands, maybe with a couple bucks on it, and you'll get things done. So that's the kind of people that we're working with. So I am very thankful again for all your support here today. And I ask you to continue to help us and support us and continue to pray for us. So thank you.
Very much. I never realized this was going on out here when we were in the meeting. So thank you for your prayers, for the support. This is a good thing we're doing here. We're doing it for our people, our elderlies. So there's a lot to be done yet. This is not the end, you know. Even though we may be promised this and that, but we still got to continue. We have to continue. I'm from Counselor Chapter, and I live on one of those parcel 2. That's where the you want to buy or lease. So we put a stop to that, and I just want to thank. I just came out to say thank you very much, all of you, and thank you for your prayers. I'm a pastor from up that way, and we do it together with prayer. That will move things. You know, you may say this and that, but it's really up to God to move things. So keep us in prayer, keep each other in prayer, and love one another. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Barring no more speakers, I wanted to thank you all for being here. Remind you, if you have not signed in, please do so we have your information and we can continue to update you. Also, there are pieces of paper that prompt and have the DC phone numbers for all the New Mexico congressional representatives. Also there, if you haven't done it, you can write your written comments to the BLM on their planning process for the greater Chaco area. So we didn't get confirmation that this lease sale that's happening a week from today is canceled. We did not get that yet. What we got was a little bit of deflection, some extra time from the state director, and a statement that the decision will ultimately be made in DC or later. And I don't think that's good enough. You've heard from many people today that are directly living with these impacts, that have been living with these impacts, and I know that you're here because you care. So we're gonna put the mic away, do a little cleanup, and hurdle up and talk about a legislative plan, a little smaller, more intimately, and if there's interest, we may head over to the Roundhouse and deliver some materials. So if you'd like to be a part of that conversation, we'll just stay in the circle after cleaning up. Please, there's a lot of websites and a lot of great organizations. 102 organizations supported the letter that was delivered to BLM today. That's huge. We had 17,000 comments delivered. Many of those were individual comments. There were 14, now 15 chapter resolutions from Eastern Navajo Agency, pieces of legislation requiring asking the United Nations to get involved in the fracking issue. We are building the case for why there should not be one more acre sacrificed to oil and gas drilling in this sacred area. But we need to continue sending the message. So it's phone calls to our legislators at the state and at the federal level. It's letters to the editor. It's signing every petition that you can. It's showing up at all of the rest of the meetings that we're going to have. Make sure we have your contact info so we can continue to engage with you. It's a pleasure and an honor to stand beside and alongside all of you and all of us working together to try to fight these injustices and protect sacred lands and our air and our water. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
We'll see you all soon.
Thank you, Rebecca.